All right, welcome to a Brewers recap games 1 and 2. There is a lot to talk about, and we will jump right in. I have my guy Nick from For the W podcast. Nick, thanks for joining me. A lot to talk about, highs and lows. You were at yesterday's game. Let's start by just telling me about that atmosphere because I was watching on TV. And I could tell the crowd was just waiting for something to happen because when there was a key strikeout or a huge hit, especially that home run, that place erupted.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, thanks for having me on
Of
again,
course,
Francisco. And, thanks for coming on ours earlier this week. So, yeah, we've been doing a lot
always.
of this. It's been great. I'd say it's been electric. And that was the atmosphere last night at the game. And, we got there in the afternoon. You could just tell, like, yeah, I've been to a lot of Brewers games over the years, man. And you could probably tell my voice is still a little bit hoarse from shouting so much. But man, throughout the game, like they're calling it the Rowdy game. It's so fitting that Rowdy's the one that hit the home run. I have not seen a crowd like that at Miller Park. Like it reminded me much more of like a crowd at Lambeau. Um, Everybody kind of up here in Wisconsin knows Lambeau is like the craziest spot, but it had that feel. Like the postseason energy was in the air. The fans were excited. Man, we had a blast. It was such a great time. Like even when nothing was happening, there was still that cool pitching duel going on. And Corbin had a rough couple innings there at the beginning, and then he kind of mellowed out and got back going. And yeah, man, it was just as the game progressed, it was like once Hader came out, we kind of knew it was all over. But yeah, it was
It
definitely a
kind of
very
got dicey though. I was like,
yeah. Oh, there was no point in the game where it felt like,
oh,
oh yeah, we've got this, which I think added to the suspense. I mean,
yeah.
everybody was so worked up by the end of it. Like I say, man, I've not been to a game like that ever at Miller Park, currently called the AmFam.
Should have kept it Miller Park, as you guys like to say. Yeah, so let's talk about last night's game before we jump into the disappointment that today's game was.
Yeah.
Um, First off, I want to talk about these times that these games are starting.
Ah,
3:37 or 3:30, whatever the time it was yesterday. What kind of idiocy, whatever that word is. I can't talk right now, but
yeah.
stupidity to start a playoff game 1 at 3:30 in the afternoon when most people are just getting out of school or just getting off work or about to get off work. And yeah, that's dumb. But yes, the game yesterday was really, really good. As soon as it started, though, I was you kind of have that vibe of, okay, Burns doesn't have his stuff right now. And he had faced this team before, and it was one of his worst starts. In my previous podcast, I was talking about this, kind of highlighting some of the key matchups to watch, because there were some players who have had some success against Corbin Burns. Small sample size, but still they have had some success. He fell behind the first couple of batters, 2 full counts to start off in the first inning, and then the pass ball by Narvaez, and then the incredible heads up play by Rowdy Tellez to touch first base and then throw home. And then Burns was able to get a huge strikeout of Austin Riley. You were there at that game. How crazy did that place get when Rowdy touched first, threw out the runner at home? Because from my TV, it looked like the place just completely went bonkers.
That's exactly it. I mean, the double play, man, everybody lost it. Like everybody in the whole place lost it. Like I have not seen the whole crowd lose it at Miller Park in my time. And as it was phenomenal to see what the crowd was like at this place. It was just so much fun. And yeah, everybody lost it. It's so fitting that they're calling this the Rowdy game because I think
Yes.
Rowdy had the 2 key plays, that
Hmm.
double play there, of course, and then the 2-run homer to seal the victory towards the end. And man, it was like when he had that double play, it was like, all right, this is how you start a comeback. This is how this is how you win a game. So
Yeah,
uh,
momentum shifting for sure because it looked like everything was going the Brewers' way. It could have completely turned against us, and like they could have easily scored 3, 4 runs, and we would have been behind. And I don't know if they would have scored more than 2 runs because the whole game we only could get 2 runs across the board. But yeah, man, incredible just heads up play by Rowdy Tellez, and I don't think he gets enough credit for the defense that he has. We talk about how he can run into a couple home runs, and when he hits them, like he hits them far, but he plays really good defense at first base. And for a team that doesn't hit a lot of home runs in the Brewers and a team that doesn't hit score many runs, we rely on pitching and defense. And he really came up big for the Brewers.
Absolutely, and what a great acquisition as the season went on to get Rowdy here. And honestly, we had so many issues. He's provided some stability to that position, especially as we go into the postseason here. And yeah, I mean, he's responsible for unfortunately all of the Brewers' runs so far. So,
Two games, yeah.
so I mean, we'll see what happens. I think the Brewers have a nice deep starting rotation. We'll be in okay shape, but it's one of those things where you'd like to see them get both at Miller Park and not the Am Fam.
Fam, I'm gonna start like charging you like $1 every time you say Miller Park, and by the end of this little video, I'll be having enough money to buy myself a ticket to these games.
There you
Let's talk about Charlie Morton and how he just completely shut down the Brewers. I think he had 9 Ks against us. He went 6 innings until that big home run. Like the Brewers could not figure him out. Like he was just dominating, and he looked really good. He was throwing his curveball for strikes, his fastball. Like I was watching him, and I was just I was at awe, just kind of like mesmerized by just how good he was pitching. And I'm like, part of me is like, wow, I hope we can score soon. But at the same time, I'm like, this is a really good pitching matchup between Corbin Burns, because he eventually settled down and he still had a couple walks. I think he ended the night with 3, but he only allowed 2 hits, struck out 6, and gave up no runs through 6 innings. So it ended up being a pitcher's duel, which is not what I would have expected after the first inning by Corbin Burns. But yeah, I mean, Charlie Morton, 37 years old, and the Brewers couldn't get much done against him.
Yeah, I mean, he did really well, and you have to kind of start to wonder though, as we've seen the Brewers bats kind of go cold these last few
Yeah.
weeks. And now we're here in the postseason. I don't want to say that like they're not gonna be able to hit, but you do kind of wonder, what is it that he I mean, he had some great stuff, don't get me wrong, but also,
Mhm.
just to see how poorly we've been hitting lately, it makes you wonder which is more responsible. But yeah, he had some great stuff. And that really I think was why the suspense was at the level it was. I think it was not lost on the fans in this building that this was a brilliant pitching duel.
Mhm.
And I do want to make mention about a couple of things. So you
Sure,
did talk
sure.
about the time of the start time earlier. So for me, it was really weird too. So I won the tickets from like a raffle at my workplace, and so I literally all summer people were putting in to win tickets every week. They'd say these 3 games or whatever. And I got to a point where I was just like, you know what? The Brewers are probably going to be in the postseason. I'm going to wait till the very end. If they make the playoffs, then I'll put in for the raffle. So everyone else had already kind of won. I ended up getting it. And then, but the thing is, I found out at like 24 hours prior on like Thursday afternoon. I texted you right away
Yeah.
along with some others and just like red alert. I have tickets. But yeah, didn't expect to have, I mean, sixth row, first baseline.
Oh,
Um,
6th row? Man, I
Six.
would've left. I would've it was my son's birthday, but for the 6th row,
I
people
should
have more
have
birthdays.
brought him.
I would have brought him. I didn't know how many tickets he had. I didn't want to be like, "Yo, give me 2."
Oh man, I wish I had thought of that. That's so funny. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
no worries, no worries. But yeah, man,
Um,
thanks. I do appreciate you thinking about me though.
yeah,
And
absolutely, man.
that would have been a better game to go to than today's game, for sure. But yeah, so like I said, Morton was locked in. At the bottom of the third, he had already retired 7 straight before Lorenzo Cain was able to get a hit. But
Yeah,
the Brewers did not score still. He had 6 Ks through the first 3 innings, and as the game was kind of going on, and you kind of get this, especially in playoff games, you kind of get more nervous as like, can we get a hit? And then Rowdy Tellez was able to come in and give a huge 2-run home run. And that was the only, like you said, we haven't scored since then. And we've already played another game. But yeah, JBJ, I'm trying to see here. Oh yeah, so Charlie Morton hit Garcia, or Garcia goes, and then
Yeah.
Tellez hits his 2-run home run, and he has been so huge for the Brewers. He has had some big hits since joining the club from Toronto, but
Yep.
none bigger than that 2-run home run in the postseason against the guy that the Brewers could not figure out. And he was able to chase Charlie Morton from the game after that hit. Charlie was gone. The
Yep.
bullpen came in. The Brewers still didn't score, but they kind of uh, they
Just
had
continued to rely.
opportunities and they just couldn't get that run across. But
Yeah.
how was the feeling in the stadium when that home run was hit?
Dude, it was just phenomenal. Everybody lost it. I mean, it was yeah, I mean, like I said, as I couldn't make enough of a comment on it. It was an incredible atmosphere, and in fact, it was one of these games too where so, like, to give you an example, there was people in the like, in front of us that, people with, like, one person like, one couple with, like, an infant and, like, a couple other people, like, people that left, like, 3rd inning, and then, like, real fans started, like, like, people came from other seats, started filling in, and,
Yeah.
like, right away, we could tell, like, these guys are, like, all these guys that are all these people that are coming in here, not just guys, but guys and gals that are coming
Hmm.
out here, they're, like, all pumped about the game, they're, like, got the real energy, so, like, towards the end of the game, it started to kind of fill in with maybe some more raucous individuals than were there earlier, and, it paid off, man. There's people, like, trying to start the wave, just everybody's doing
Oh,
silly stuff and just getting super hyped about it, and, like, um, I think that was part of it. It was like the true professional fans were out.
yeah.
That's the beauty of the postseason is the people that know when to make noise, when to shut up, when to have
Hmm.
fun, when to pay
Hmm.
attention. And yeah, it was a good group. And man, there was we actually saw some kind of funny stuff too, but I'll get into that up maybe off camera.
I will definitely. I'll make a mental note to ask you once this is done because
Yeah,
do want to know.
absolutely. Absolutely,
Um,
man.
yeah, for sure. So then let's just to wrap up kind of last night's game before we talk
Yeah.
about today's. Hader came in, Orlando Arcia, former Brewer. And I was thinking to myself as he got up, I'm like, okay, this is the way we lose. Because how fitting would it be that a former Brewer comes back and just has this clutch hit against us? And that would be such a Brewers or Wisconsin way to lose. Although the Bucks did break the curse, so maybe that didn't. That's the why it didn't happen. That's the reason why. But yeah, having him up there, and I was like, oh man, men on base, Orlando Arcia. But Hader was able to get it done. He was able to get his say, the first of the postseason. And yeah, we got to win game one, 2-0. And emotions were kind of high heading into today's game. And it was kind of like a gut punch, just uh, getting shut out by the Braves. Freed went really strong against us, 6 innings, 9 Ks. Only gave up 3 hits, and the Brewers had so many opportunities to score toward the end of the game once he was out, and we were able to get to their bullpen. Matzek and Smith, both of we had men on to lead off the inning. We had a lead up runner on, and men in the tying run at the plate, and we couldn't get it done. Uh, what were your overall thoughts on today's game?
Overall, it was a disappointment. You know what I mean? I think kind of a continuation of what we've seen since we clinched. The bats have kind of cooled down.
Hmm.
Um, and the difference between tonight and yesterday, for example, we got super close towards the end. We got some runners on base, but
Hmm.
we couldn't get anything done with them. We were talking about what a nice acquisition Rowdy has been. There was a
Hmm.
point there where I thought maybe Adamas was going to get us back into the game, and there's just different points where we started to think like, we had a couple guys on base, and it seemed like, man, maybe we'll say, magic will strike and lightning will strike and magic will happen again for us. But yeah, that was the difference tonight, I think, is that we didn't actually do it when we had to get it done.
Yeah, it's been this team's like issue all season. We can't score runs, especially in the biggest moments when you need them. Um, I you know what I it, you know I've talked about this before when we talk like the Cardinals are a great example of a team that has to win every game toward the end of the season to get in, and then they get hot enough to win. The
Yeah.
Cardinals could have beat the Dodgers. They should have beat the Dodgers. They had opportunities, and had they beat the Dodgers, you would think, okay, wow, this team came in hot. They win a one game against Max Scherzer in the wild card game, and they're continuing to go. But this team, the Brewers, they could have rested their starters, and they did a lot of that. And maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a little bit of rust coming in, and maybe I don't know how it all is, but you can they need to figure out the intensity of this game and realize that if they don't start hitting, they can have an early exit. You look at the White Sox, a team that people thought were going to win. I thought the White Sox would win the World Series this season. They may get swept tomorrow and be out of the postseason. A team that had so much potential, but if you can't hit and you can't score in the postseason, it's one series and you're done. So we'll see how the Brewers are, but I think they really need to kick it in gear. The good news is, and you and I were texting about this. The good news is that our rotation is deep.
Yes.
The Braves, their rotation is not as deep. They have a really good pitcher going tomorrow in Ian Anderson, but after that, what are they going to do in Game 4? Is it going to be a bullpen game? I don't know. If it is, that'd be advantage Brewers. If it isn't, we'll see. Maybe they throw in Charlie Morton on short rest and then have Max Fried go in Game 5 if there's a Game 5 that needs to be pitched. But either way, I still think the Brewers are in a good spot. They split 1-1, and ideally we would have gone 2-0. But it's still a series. Like, we still have 3 more games to play. You just got to
We've
win
played
2 of
pretty
them.
well on the road too. Throughout the season, we
The
haven't been.
Brewers that were one of the best road teams in all of baseball. Like, I feel even more confident going on the road because I think in this series when we played them, I think the road team won 2 games and both times. So when we were over there in Atlanta, we won 2 games. When Atlanta was in AmFam, they won 2 games. So it's been a really, really good matchup between these two teams. This team, we saw exactly what they do. They hit home runs. And last night, when they couldn't hit home runs, they didn't win. So they're a very kind of feast or famine offense. They can hit home runs with the best of them. I think they're second or third in the National League in home runs. And I saw a stat today. I think they score all their runs scored. I think they score 48% of their runs by way of the long ball. And I think that was
Yeah.
like 4th or 5th most in baseball. So they're a very boom or bust offense, but when they can hit them, they can hit them. So if we can if our pitchers can keep them from hitting home runs tomorrow in the next couple of games, then we have a really good shot of winning. I still think we win in 4. I think we can end this in Atlanta. No reason to come back over here. Let's go ahead and win, and then maybe fly over there to San Francisco or fly over there to the Dodger Stadium, whoever wins. But I don't want to see another game back in Milwaukee for at least till the second round. Because if it's a Game 5, then my nerves will be through the roof, and I will not be able to rest. I
Yeah.
do not like elimination games. I love it, but it's like a love-hate relationship. But any thoughts on this rest of the series before we wrap up?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, if we go to 5, the tensions are gonna be through the roof. I think you're right, though, about the way that Atlanta might manage a longer series. I think it makes sense that they might, throw a guy in with a short rest and then finish up, again, just like they did kinda tonight with Freed. And, it would be interesting to see if we get there. And I think, it kind of speaks to just sort of the general question when we're talking about the Brewers and we're talking about they had all this time to rest, no matter what sport it is, even businesses, but this team management aspect of
Mm-hmm.
how much is too much on the gas and when, like, how much is too
That's a
much
good point.
rest. This question of load management that's come up, and we've seen it in the NBA as well, where you try to keep a player fresh, but you risk kind of losing the chemistry, or that's the thing that's fun about sports, man. It's one of my favorite parts about it.
It's wild how in this postseason so far we see Max Scherzer, he struggled. Garrett Cole, aces, both of these guys struggled. Uh, Wainwright, he pitched well. He didn't have his best stuff, but he pitched well. Corbin Burns struggled in the beginning. He settled down and he pitched really well, but there have been some really big disappointments so far from aces, guys who are going to be good. And that's why you got to play the games, because on paper, some of these, I say we have a better rotation on paper. We have a better, maybe their lineup's probably a lot better than ours, but it's just built differently. They don't rely on home runs. Like we
Yeah.
don't do that as much. But that's what you gotta love about postseason baseball. Like it's just been so exciting, and I find myself having more enjoyment watching like the Dodgers and the Giants game, or the Red Sox and the Rays, because I'm not invested in those emotionally, so I
Yeah.
can just watch it, sit back and enjoy it. And then when these games come on, it's more of a, like, I enjoy it, but I'm like, oh my goodness, like
Yeah, you
please
get
just
for
score
sure.
a run.
Yeah, you're more like focused on the outcome than if it's like
Exactly,
neutral
exactly.
spots. Yeah.
Exactly. You're more worried about like what might happen at the end of this game to almost enjoy, unless like you're blowing them out, then you can kind of sit back, relax, like, oh, I can enjoy this. But if it's a pitching duel and you know that one error can be the end of it, or it's just like I can hardly enjoy this, but at the same time, it's like I need more of it. Um,
Yeah.
but that's why we play the games. But hey, thanks for hopping on. Appreciate you coming on to talk about your experience there, recap game 1 and 2 with me, kind of just chop it up a little bit. I always enjoy having you on, Nick. Go ahead and give your podcast a shout out, because you do a great job. I know you and your co-host just one half of the For the W pod, but you guys cover every sport in Wisconsin. So I do appreciate what you guys do. You're a good listen. Let us know where we can find you guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And once again, thanks for coming on ours.
Yeah.
You can find a couple episodes that you're on with us now as well at forthew.buzzsprout.com. That's our main feed from there that adds you to all of our social, adds you to it, allows you access to all our social, and of course, all the places where we are. And just like yourself, we're everywhere, basically everywhere you find podcasts. So Pandora, Apple, all the above, we're there pretty much. Everything. Yeah, pretty much every streaming service.
Dude, I didn't know there were so many streaming services. Like
Yeah,
when I was setting up my podcast, it's like there's like 13, 14, 15 different ones you can. I'm like, oh my, I've never even heard of these. I just have Apple.
and in fact, on our metrics, sometimes we'll get ones that are like unknown app, and we're like, "What? There's more that they don't even track." I guess I don't know.
You didn't even make the list.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Oh man,
but yeah, and obviously we'll have you back on ours, I'm sure.
I
Thanks
can't
again
wait.
for having me.
All right, Nick, you have a great night.
Yeah, take care, Francisco.